All right. Jacques-Yves, thank you so very much for your time today. It's really generous of you because people that will be looking at this video are going to be typically be job seekers that
Mhm.
sometimes they don't want to take my word for it as a recruiter when it comes through resumes and interviews. So they're going to hear it from leaders like you that really are paying the salaries and what you appreciate to see on a resume and in interviews. But before we dive in, I would love to learn more about your services. And I see you started your life in Quebec. Now you're in
Mhm.
Ontario. You're in Toronto. So I'd love to hear a little bit about your services, your story, and then we could dive right in.
Yeah, of course. I mean, thanks for having me, Laura. It's a pleasure. Jacques-Yves Bouchard. So I started my career in commercial real estate at Colliers in Montreal, had like research roles. And I got a promotion and well, I mean, I ended up at a bit of a pivot point in my career where either I went to sales, get a
Mhm.
broker license, but I cannot cold call for all I try, but I'm just bad at it, or they gave me a management role. So they offered me to relocate me to Toronto. I ended up with a national team that was across the country. I believe I had up to at some point 25 people in multiple offices, like from Halifax all the way to Victoria, BC.
Amazing.
We had people, I mean, doing research and I mean, doing data work and critical work for the business. And
Yes.
um, what was interesting is I also was handed a national internship program. So, talking in universities, identifying potential talent that we could bring in the organization and coach. So we had a very successful internship program. Uh, and after a few years, there's this major, big research firm in commercial real estate, the CoStar Group, who just knocked at my door.
Oh,
And they offered me a national leadership position to be the head of research for all of Canada. And I ended up, I mean, fancy office on Bay Street. Total, I believe we had about 50 researchers and five managers. So, and I mean, it was at times it was a tough environment. So there was a bit of a turnover issue. So we had, I mean, we had to hire a lot until we were able to stabilize it.
amazing.
Um, so I
Wow.
mean, yeah, lots of resumes came on my desk at that time. And after that, I decided to take a step back, did some work with the Building Owners and Managers Association. And I mean, I had some disagreement with my leadership recently, so we left. I mean, we separated.
Right.
So now I'm back in the job seeker seat, which
Oh,
is an
wow.
interesting. It's an interesting shift, I have to say.
Interesting. My goodness. So you as a job seeker right now, then you know exactly after seeing all the resumes come through your desk, you know exactly how to present your story on a resume then.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, having been on the other side and knowing that,
Yeah,
well, both the recruitment team and the hiring manager just have so much time that they can afford looking at resumes and talking to candidates. And after a while, and because I remember myself like talking to candidate and becoming impatient because it wasn't the team would send me profiles, but I knew this person wouldn't fit the role for this or that reason,
I mean,
and getting frustrated. And I know the candidates would get frustrated because,
of course.
as a director of research, I was busy, and sometimes wouldn't respond when they follow up. And I fully
I
understand the
know. I am
frustration. And
so try.
yeah,
It's 18 years that I started Personne
yeah,
Rendezvous, and this is my mission to stop that wasting of time. That's
mhm.
why, sadly, recruiters, headhunters, they have a little bit of a bad reputation. Some people roll their eyes, and it's sad. Or hiring managers, or even when we talk about HR people in a company, sometimes, people roll their eyes, saying, "Oh, like you just explained, they don't understand my situation. They don't understand, what I'd like, what I need as a candidate." And this is what I'm trying to break, in my own small way into and my video is lagging, isn't it? I'm just gonna
Yeah,
shut
just a tiny bit,
down a
but
tiny bit. It's so strange. I'm just gonna shut down a lot of applications here. Strange. Okay, there we go. Maybe that might help. I don't know. All right. In my small way, um,
Mhm.
I'm trying. That's one strength. It's not a video about me here, but one strength that I do have is being a really good listener, and I become very integrated in the company's business activities. So I understand quickly from the director of operations, or
Mhm,
whoever's hiring, what their needs are. I capture the essence of the organization or the department, and then I find people that can do the job, that have all the non-negotiables, and
mhm.
those that would be most likely a good fit character-wise as
Yeah.
well. But now getting back to, this little interview, is that the insights that I would appreciate that you share is two things, resume and interview. So with the
Mhm.
resume, in all those years that you had to look through all those resumes, what is the first thing that you find your eyes going onto right away in a resume?
It sounds silly. For me, it
No?
was formatting. It sounds really silly. I
Yeah.
would just go to it, and whenever the formatting wasn't consistent, I'm talking about like this M dash and N dash and hyphens that are not the same across, font size don't matching. It just irked me. Again, seeing that the candidate had all this skills and competencies that you were looking for a role, I would try not to discriminate based on that. But oftentimes that's what would happen because we would get bombarded. In my most recent role as director of operation at Beaumont, Canada, I mean, it's a small shop. So whenever I was hiring for a role, I would end up doing the, the putting the job posting myself and then getting hundreds, and
Yeah.
I'm talking hundreds of resumes every day uh, for that one job, and having to go through them myself. I was in big businesses, you've got recruitment team, and now they use a bunch of AI tools that do it for better or worse.
Mhm.
Um, but it's a
It's
lot
the
of work, and
formatting.
if the formatting isn't there, it's hard to read. The
Yes.
information is not nicely laid out. It just, I mean, it would just end up in the trash
Oh,
very quickly because I just, if I need to find what your degree is or what your current role or previous roles are, that's too much. I don't have time to spend 3 minutes on a resume,
exactly.
unfortunately.
Oh my
Uh,
God. I'm smiling
so
ear to
sounds
ear
silly,
because
sounds silly, but
no, it's not. It's not finally somebody speaks my language. I'm smiling ear to ear because I'm almost completed in writing a book. The
Mhm.
manuscript is almost done. I got one more chapter left, and it's
Uh-huh.
going to go to editing soon. And that's one chapter that I dive into is the aesthetics of a resume. And it's
Mhm.
not, it sounds silly, but it's not. If it's not pleasant to read, you don't feel like calling them. Like
No,
today, and another point too, I understand that feeling. Like I went into my file and I had about 30 new applicants in 1 hour in the last hour for a
that's
position.
yeah.
And one person writes to me, not even how high, just what's the salary, even though the salary is on the job description. So you didn't really read it. Okay, so
Oh,
now you
don't
didn't
read.
say hi to me.
That's
You
that's the other
didn't
thing.
you didn't read the description. You're being rude in writing, and you're showing me that all that you're motivated in is salary and what are the benefits. That's what they asked me.
Hmm.
Salary benefits. I know we all have to make a living, but you need to give me a better call to action. If you want me to read, if you want me to call you, give me something about, hey, this is very interesting. I'd love to speak to you. But to your point, you're feeling it's not silly. I totally understand. If it's hard to navigate and you have hundreds to look at,
I
you
don't have time.
you don't have time. Next, next, next.
Yeah.
I love it. Yeah.
You bring in another point that about like them contacting you and not reading the job posting.
Mhm.
We were putting in the job posting to send an email to so and so. And sometimes out of hundreds of candidates, I would get one who read through the whole thing and send the actual email. That's extra points because but I couldn't believe the amount of like people who just don't go
Oh,
through the job posting. They probably skim through it, see if it check,
and
fine, and click on
yeah,
apply as
yeah,
opposed to reading
yeah.
through the whole thing. So
And I
that's
have to,
one thing.
yeah. And to your point, I have to admit, when I call candidates, sometimes they say, "What position was that for?" What do you mean? Oh, because I sent 50 resumes. Ah, that's another way of you like that's not really
Uh,
motivating. That's not fun. So you're not interested in what I have to offer, really. You didn't
mm,
really read it.
yeah.
I love it.
Another thing that
Oh,
might resonate with you is when you put a language on a resume, make sure you actually speak it. Look, I'm based in Toronto, and people don't always assume they'll say, "Oh, I had French in high school." And then, even though it's not a prerequisite for the role, when I interview them and I say, "Oh, you speak French," I toggle to French, and they're not able to sustain, like,
No,
to
just
even answer very basic question. To me, even if they had all the other boxes, it just casts a shadow of doubt
yes, of
on the
course.
whole thing. And I
Uh-huh.
would tend to say, no, I mean, it's not, do you claim you speak French and you don't, just be truthful.
What a great point you bring up.
Yeah.
You're so right, because
Mhm.
be completely truthful, because then you're right. It casts a shadow of doubt.
Yeah.
That's well said. It does. Even though they think they'll get extra points by saying, "Oh, I speak a bit of French," and then, but you don't, right?
Mhm.
Or if it's not needed in the job, don't put it.
Yeah.
I have people
So,
that listen to me 5, 6 languages, but I don't need that. Now you are really casting a shadow of doubt, because now I don't know which one you really speak well. I
mhm.
just need English because we need maybe to write in English and read in English and converse in English. So stick to, the language that the job description, asks
Requires, and be truthful.
requires,
Be
because it's,
truthful.
be truthful, because that's not impressive. The languages you speak might not really impress everybody. Like
Mhm.
somebody like yourself, who you would be impressed if somebody spoke 5 languages, yes. But when you're very busy, and I don't know why my hand went up there, but
Because
when,
you
yeah,
did,
yeah,
I
because
just saw it.
but when you're very busy and you have hundreds to read, you just want to see
Mhm.
if you're capable. You don't, if you speak 10 languages, great, but I need to see if you're capable for this position. So that's
Mm.
a great point. Let's jump quickly to interviews, because I really want to
Of
respect
course.
your time. I really would love to hear an example, maybe, of a good or a bad interview that you experienced. An interview that was memorable, where you said, "Wow, great person, they're hired," or "Wow, that was nasty," or something like where you feel like the person could have done so much better if they just tried or knew or did something different.
You know, the thing that got me frustrated, and I'm wondering if it's cultural in some instances where you get a candidate, and if I go back at one of my previous jobs where we had like a bit of a handbook in terms of like behavioral questions and specific behaviors that
Yeah,
we were looking at, like there were, let's say, four core competencies for the role, and we had
yeah,
to grill the candidate with behavioral questions on these four key competencies. Nothing else. I was just cleaning these
yeah,
four, and with a behavioral question, um, I would oftentimes hear the candidate be very, even though they can find, like, even if it's at school, or like there's always an example where this question would apply. Give me an example where you were disappointed with your performance, for instance. And they wouldn't, well, they wouldn't. That's one of my frustration. And when a candidate would think, and then they would come up with things that are very generic and not something that they've experienced. It's like I want to see how you actually behave in a certain situation, and they would not tell me. They would just say how they think they would behave, or they would repeat the question in like a different ways, and I would have to ask again, and it feels you're going nowhere with these
exactly.
behavioral questions, because ultimately what the employer is looking for with the behavioral question is just to assess the fit, or rank them on like on some competencies, like and
Yes.
and we can always find a relevant example, like it's just
Absolutely. And for you, it's important because you want to understand, for
Mhm.
example, how you know your company, you know your clientele, you know your colleagues. You just want to know if there's a fit. So you know your realities. So your the employers are probably asking this question knowing, like, oh my goodness, how would they react to certain clients that we have that are very demanding? So
Mhm.
therefore, on that note, hey, Miss or Mr., job seeker, tell me a time that a client got upset with you, or tell me about a most
God,
difficult client and what happened. It's not, in, as we say in French, une rapproche. It's just to
no,
understand if, like you said, if there's a fit, if they will deal with life as you and your colleagues would. That's it.
exactly.
It's not anything bad. And I find that that's the thing, is that we go to an interview trying to, so prepared to all the great things we've done. But, it's okay to come up with things that maybe we did not do so well, where we learned, where we failed, any mishaps. You could come with nice stories, So I love that you bring that up.
Yeah, the other thing is that it should stay professional. Like some of the examples that I cannot come with, make sure it also makes sense and it doesn't put you in a bad light. I remember somebody who when I what did I forgot what the question was. It was around tell me about it, maybe tell me about a time where you were disappointed in yourself or something like that. And they got back to me, oh, I gained weight. And it's like, okay, like how does this apply to a professional setting? And
Yes, exactly. If they could have changed that, they could have turned that around and applied it to a professional setting too. But if they
yeah.
just left it there, that's strange.
Mhm,
That is too personal, I agree. But if they could have tied it in and said that was the most, difficult thing.
mhm.
I understand that. That's interesting.
And I know, and I'm sure, I mean, you say that in your practice quite a lot, is come prepared with questions to the interview because it shows that you're engaged and interested in the organization and you're interested in the role. It's not just a check the box exercise. It works both ways, and the employer sets this time up to understand where and how the candidate can fit. And if it's just one way, you don't get extra points. You need to ask questions about the culture, the environment, not only about the perks and the benefits and the
No,
compensation. It has to go about like talk about their business, ask questions about, show that you've done your research first, and
exactly, Jacques.
show
There's no
interest in the
excuse
whole thing.
anymore. Now maybe in our day, well, maybe I'm much older than you, I don't know, but in my
And
day, I'll speak for myself. You couldn't do much research. It was very difficult to see
yeah,
what people looked like, how they dressed, what type of coffee they like, or what they do.
mhm.
Here, there's no excuse.
No.
Everything is on social media. Even if a company has a lunch party or a launch and a product, you see their style. You see how they celebrated. Did they celebrate at a bar? Did they celebrate at a big, grandiose hall? Were they drinking champagne? Were they
Yeah.
just drinking Coke? You get so much insight. I know I sound silly, but you get a lot of insight now in a matter of seconds.
Mhm.
And now with ChatGPT too, it will research it all for you. It
Yeah, you gotta
just
be
sets it
careful with
all for
this,
you.
but you gotta be careful because it tends to make up stuff, but
Yes, yes, but it could get you going, right? So
yeah.
I like the points you bring up. That's a really good point.
Ask questions and do your research and make sure your research is good. Can don't get your research confused. I mean, sometimes candidates will interview at multiple shops,
Yes.
and they I've had instances where they get the research confused and you're there in person. I asked them because it was a researcher position, tell me what do you know about us, and they don't get me much. It was clear that they didn't do their research, and
Yeah.
that's not a good look.
No, it's not. I agree. You have to like the lady today that wrote to me, what's the salary and what's the perks? Like, oh, that's awful. No, aren't you
Yeah.
interested in what the offering is? It's
Mhm.
but anyway, this has been really great. I really want to respect your time. Is there anything else you'd like to add? I don't want to take up more of your time. It's up to you.
No, no, that's all right. That's all right. I mean, yeah, I think, I mean, what I'm sharing, I mean, what I've said is just like, no, do your research,
Yeah.
be respectful of the employer, show up on time. And we've had this phenomenon coming up a lot in the last, just around COVID, I'd say, is the no-shows.
Isn't that awful?
I don't recall that, let's say in the 2010s, I don't recall that to that extent. And
Yeah.
it started probably around COVID,
Yes, I
where you
do.
have candidates, they just don't show up and then they ghost
Mhm.
the
Yes.
recruiter and they ghost you and
You don't like
they're not
going
here. I
there.
would call, nothing. Like it's not a good look. If you have another job offer on the table and you took it, just be straightforward. It's fine to cancel a meeting, but
Mm. I know. And you know what? We keep our lists, and I have my list of those that did, and
uh
um, yeah, it's wrong. It's really wrong. And people take the time, to be here to interview you. I remember once my daughter was very sick and I had to really take care of her. But then I had this interview, so I rushed. I told her I'll be right back. I threw her a Tylenol. I said, I'll be right back, and I come and I went to the office and the person was a no-show, you
That's
know? And
unbelievable.
it's unbelievable because and I left her a message saying, you have no idea the human being on the other side of it. We grant you that time. Now I
Hmm.
know, and there's no excuse today, even
Things
though you don't
happen,
want to
but
talk
still.
to, yeah, even though you don't want to talk to me or call, a texto, you know,
Hmm.
no longer interested. I texto, I franchisized some words because we're both from Quebec, so
Fine. It's
a
fine.
little a little text, no longer interested. Great,
Uh-huh.
thank you. At least I could have taken care of my daughter a little bit better that hour. But anyway, so no, it's a great point. Well, this has been super, super insightful. So, Jacques-Yves, what's your next adventure, you think? Are you going to stay in the
Oh,
industry? What's your next adventure?
most likely, I mean, my career has been around commercial real estate for the last,
Hmm.
what, 15 years. I
What a
mean, I've had
great
research
industry.
roles. Yeah, I
Hmm.
love real estate. I was with the Building Owners and Managers Association,
Hmm.
not taking a bit of a step back, just thinking about what the prospects are and figure out
Great.
what the next project's going to be. I mean,
Amazing.
it's been quite a ride in the last 15 years.
Yeah.
So I don't mind having a little time off now, but
No kidding.
we'll
Well,
see
if I
what
could be of
happens.
help, I mean, I can, later on, we can talk about it. I can
Of
open up
course.
my roster of contacts in the industry, make some introductions, and you
Hmm.
just never know. It's all about the power of networking because it's not just a resume,
Yeah.
it's also networking. And
I
I'm a
don't think the
huge
resume gets you
networker.
that far anymore. That's what I
You
see
have to
now.
network. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, you have to network. So I'm happy to be a referral partner to you. And we could talk about this off camera. No problem.
Okay. No, I appreciate that.
All
Yes,
right,
I'll
great.
take you on that
Oh, of
offer.
course. Thank you for your time today. I really thank you. And yeah, I'm gonna be advertising this video and add you on to my Hire Well and Get Hired YouTube channel.
That's amazing. You're
That's what it's
doing
called.
good work, and it's critical work right now.
It
So,
is. I'm trying to really put the two, trying to bring back respect within
mhm,
this dance of hiring and interviewing and job seeking and just trying to bring some bridge to a better, stronger bridge with this and
mhm.
stop the ghosting and stop the disrespecting from both sides. Even employers can be very disrespectful. So both sides. Anyway, so thank you so very much for your time.
Thank you. I
Thank you.
appreciate it.
Bye bye.
Bye now.